Hey guys, do you know someone considering renting their property as an Airbnb? I have worked with Rental Advisor for over a decade, and Rental Advisor provides free rental projections to prospective owners, realtors, and investors for any property in the US. So if you know someone considering getting into the vacation rental industry, have them email management@myrentaladvisor.com to get their free revenue projections. I think it's extremely important for Latter-day Saints to be aware of the ideological landscape that we exist in. We are out in a world where other ideas exist and compete with our own about the nature of life, the nature of reality, and our nature as human beings. Today we live in a culture where these notions are radically shifting in the Western world. A couple of years ago, I became fascinated by the phenomena people refer to as wokeness. And I don't mean this in some cheap political sense. I mean it seriously. I wanted to understand how and why this group of people came to think the way they do, and why they see the world so differently from me. So as part of that exploration, I read a book called Cynical Theories that explores the intellectual history of the 20th century and where these new ways of seeing the world are coming from. It was an eye-opening read that really helped me to make sense of what was going on and why. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode. So you may have noticed that we're living in a very weird time. Society seems really confused and conflicted, and there's a lot going on. And I think a lot of this comes down to the way that we view society. Now, historically, people's social values and kind of the way that they viewed the world and society came through religious traditions or through their local cultures. But over about the course of the last 60 years or so, the influencer class in our society, those are the ones who are setting the trends. They're the ones who are writing the books. They're the ones who are running the companies. They all filter through our academic system. And in that academic system, their ideas about society are shaped a lot by the social sciences and the ideologies within those disciplines. So in this series, I'll be drawing largely from a book called Cynical Theories. It's a book by James Lindsay and Helen Pluckrose that I'll be reviewing that really does a great job of exploring the roots of a lot of the stuff that's going on right now. It really is a must-read, and I recommend it to everyone. What this book does is it explores the ideas that are being inculcated into our influencer class as they pass through the academic system. Now, these ideas are ones that at one time were kind of confined to these esoteric academic discussions amongst intellectuals, but now they've really become mainstream as more and more of the members of our influencer class go woke. Now, woke is a euphemism that denotes being awakened, and in this case, it is an awakening to the underlying power structures of society and the injustices that become manifest with that understanding. What the authors end up showing in this book is that our ruling class are being handed a new lens through which they see the world, right in the midst of their most formative years. It's a lens of critical social justice. And much like how a fundamentalist Christian will suddenly start seeing God in everything that they look at, a person who is woke, who has adopted this new lens, will begin to view the world as a landscape of socially constructed power dynamics. It's a notion rooted in something even deeper called critical theory, hence critical social justice. Critical theory is a theory which came to dominate the social sciences over the past 50 years. It emerged from the Frankfurt School's Neo-Marxists as a lens through which they viewed the world in terms of these power dynamics between different groups. Now, it should be noted that the power in this worldview is not limited just to political power. When they say power, they're talking about any form of social power, any ability for someone to get what they want socially. This line of analysis draws from the Marxist tradition that viewed society as a class struggle between the economically oppressed versus their oppressors. But the neo-Marxists expanded the scope beyond economics and critically examined all social systems, even the most mundane, for more subtle and hidden systems of power and oppression. The neo-Marxist frames all social systems, even the most mundane, as an interplay between the oppressed and the oppressor, the privileged versus the marginalized, those with more power versus those with less. As neo-Marxist Max Horkheimer said, critical theory seeks to liberate human beings from the circumstances that enslave them. The circumstances that he's referring to are the ones created by these social systems. Thus, the world is broken up into various groups, and more recently into intersection of those groups. This is what's known as intersectionality. And all of these groups have different levels of power. To be woke is to adopt what is known as critical consciousness. This is the academic term for woke. And this is a way in which you see all of society as this complex interplay of these interactions between power dynamics and groups. Lindsay and Pluckrose go into excellent detail, showing how the woke movement we see today is largely a combination of the neo-Marxist ideas of people like Herbert Marcuse, Horkheimer, Adorno, etc., merged with postmodernist philosophy. Very much Michel Foucault is huge in that, Jacques Derrida, Lyotard. And what the authors do is they show how in the 1980s to the 2000s, there were these activist academics, and they began to draw on the ideas of the neo-Marxists and the postmodernists in order to inspire activism in their students to create social change. While at one time these ideas were largely confined to the academy, in the last 10 to 20 years, we've all been watching what has been happening as this new way of viewing the world, this critical consciousness, this wokeness, and its corresponding call to activism has gone mainstream. Lindsay and Pluckrose emphasize recurring sort of paradigms and principles that undergird this woke movement. And that's what we'll go into in the next video. So do you enjoy the content here on Thoughtful Faith? If so, be sure to hit the notification bell. This ensures that our new videos show up on your feed. Also, be sure to check out our Facebook group called Thoughtful Saints, where myself and others discuss the sorts of topics found on this channel. And lastly, if you think other people would benefit from this video, please be sure to share it.